Saints Row is a pretty straightforward game, but with so many things to unlock, signature abilities and all kinds of secret features, it can be hard at times to keep track of everything. Today we'll take a look at some of the biggest mistakes that I was also guilty of, especially early on, and hopefully this video will serve as a nice heads up of some of the cool things you might be missing on and many more tips and tricks along the way. Also, a big congrats to our giveaway winner for the free copy of Saints Row Gold Edition. You can reach out to me via Twitter, and let's begin. Now, one of the first big mistakes that I was guilty of was not focusing enough on building the ventures right away. This is by far the best way to make money. It makes all of that for you passively. It gives you new gameplay functions as well as a ton of rewards. Once the networking mission is done in the main story, you will get the word table back at the second floor on your Saints HQ, so go ahead and place down your first 3 ventures, especially if you can already afford that. These are part of the first tier of business ventures. There's going to be 5 of these tiers in total that progressively unlock new and more expensive ventures, but these will also give you more money per hour as well as the cool rewards. You will need to complete the requirements from the HQ missions you can see in the phone app, so totally check that over there, but usually this involves just building and completing these business ventures in the first place. Once these are set up and the businesses are going, hover over their main locations and look at the challenge tracks that require you to complete and upgrade those in one way or another. It's easy to spot these challenges as you will see them spawning all around the map, and completing them eventually will also complete these ventures and you will get all of the benefits at the end of them. For example, completing gym rods, which is a super easy one early that also gives you some free supercars, also rewards you with the ability to call your car whenever you want instead of having to go back to your garage manually. Also, completing Shady Oaks, for example, lets you commit insurance fraud pretty much anywhere, so if you want to make some money on the side, that's also possible by calling Tamira. There's more complex ones like the Eureka Baiter in Tier 2 that gives you access to some of the cool new gadgets and weapons that we already discussed in some of the previous videos. Some of the later ones will even let you pretty much build up your own faction store, a jam radio, one that also lets you get a clothing line of your own. So lots of cool options, 15 of them in total, and every single one of them is absolutely worth it. But outside of completing these ventures, another great way to increase your revenue per hour that you generate is by completing the 5 bonus challenges listed below the primary objective. This basically involves clearing out the threats in that district, and it doesn't matter if you do it during that venture or once you have completed it, it's going to count still, and it's pretty easy too. It's just 5 of them, and it usually involves taking down a group of thugs or clearing out some police van. It's going to increase your revenue by at least a third for that specific district, so totally worth it, especially for some of the endgame ventures that give you a ton of money per hour. Also, don't forget that the venture money goes into your money app, so you will have to transfer that into your main account by going into your phone instead. Money only generates during game hours, by the way, so if your game is not running, you're obviously not going to get any additional income outside of when you're just playing it. Coming up to number 3, another big tip that I cannot stress enough how important it is to switch between weapons as often as possible. Especially if you're still doing the main campaign and killing enemies, you will be able to complete their mini challenges and get the signature abilities out of them. These are basically the additional skills that you can unlock that will make these weapons way more powerful, and usually it involves defeating enemies in a certain way or in a certain number. You can check all of this, of course, bringing up the weapon wheel and then just taking a glance at what the requirements are here at the bottom. Once done with this, you can simply head over either to a gun store or your HQ and just use the customization menu to activate that additional skill. And many of these are actually super powerful, especially the martial weaponry has a ton of AoE options in there. Like the pistol in this case, the green bullets will bounce between targets if you unlock the signature ability, making it super easy to take down large compact groups of enemies. Or the Tech Z10 SMG, even better one, as it applies fire, shock and bleed at random once you reload at its magazine. There's many more options in there that you should definitely check out. Oh, and on a similar note, if you want to upgrade the stats, also totally recommended. You can only do that at the gun store and not at your HQ, in case you didn't notice that. But moving on to number 4, also unlocking the vehicle special skills can come in quite in handy. Vehicles also have their own unlockable perks, and you can also check them back at your garage. Unfortunately, there's no other way of doing it. So once you've checked that, it usually involves a pretty simple action or series of actions that you need to perform, like just side swiping other enemies or targets, or performing a number of boosts, or just jumping from the rooftops, and they can unlock some really powerful and useful skills. We covered, for example, the infinite nitrous in yesterday's video for one of the early on supercars, but there's plenty more in there for each vehicle, including even ejection seats. I really love these. They just let you set up such a perfect angle if you're escaping or if you're trying to reach a place. You can just use it and kind of enjoy the scenery when you jump straight into your wingsuit. But moving on to number 5, call your friends to help you in missions. You don't have to do everything solo, and for the most part, following the main mission usually also has you running with your friends, but outside of that, it can feel quite lonely. So don't put aside the contacts app back in your phone, because you can literally call all of your companions to help you in the open world activities. You do have to be near a main road, as sometimes the spawn is a little bit finicky, but they'll usually get there right away. This will also spawn with you during side missions, so if you spawn somebody before jumping into a mission, yeah, they will totally be with you by that as well. And they also kind of like stick with you no matter what. Even if you teleport over the other side of the map, they will always be with you in there. Also, the best thing is that they also get their weaponry upgrades if you also did their story missions with them. So by the end of the game, they will become progressively better and better, especially in combat. This brings us to number 6. I played a very large chunk of the game without paying attention to these specific icons right here around the map. These ones basically unlock the fast travel option of Saints Row. So it took me like half a game until I realized what these were for, because I didn't read the tooltip. So this would have saved me a lot of early on time out of constantly traveling manually to my next destination, especially since the main story kind of brings you all around the map. So this involves simply going to any of these landmarks indicated in this location, taking the photo in the right angle, and boom, it unlocks it as a fast travel point. There's even hidden fast travel points that don't normally appear on the map, and you would need to be right there in their vicinity to find them in the first place, especially around the desert area. If you find any strange rock formation or landmark, usually it implies that there might be a fast travel point to unlock. And speaking of the fast travel points, there is a side hustle chain called the Wingsuit Saboteur that starts right here on this side of the map. If you fully complete all of the chains of quests that appear subsequently on the map in this chain, you will also unlock the possibility to use wingsuit entry instead of the normal fast travel. So you'll basically base jump over the fast travel point straight into the wingsuit in case your next point of interest is a bit further away and you just don't want to like waste any time getting a car instead. Coming up to number 7, a pretty big annoyance is that during main missions, it seems that the phone book app and the fast travel options are disabled for some reason, and if you happen to be on the other side of the map when you activate those, you're kinda stuck. So a quick tip that I have for you here is to make a quick mental note of where that mission is located once it's activated, and then just abandon it. From this point on, simply either call up a car and travel there, or use the fast travel option, and then you can quickly reactivate the mission and resume from this point on. There's no penalty to that, and yeah, it's just frustrating to not be able to do this during said missions. And finally, this brings us to number 8. Shooting vehicle tires makes them explode much faster. Don't question the logic of this, but basically, if you shoot a vehicle in its tires, you're already going to slash half of its HP. And if you shoot 2 tires, yeah, it's pretty much gone. It's going to immediately explode, and it will make many of the later game challenges and encounters that much easier. Also, another tip that defies the logic is that, well, if you cause these cars to explode near your car during a chase, it also replenishes your car's HP for some reason. So that is something that I actually learned during the riding shotgun challenge. Comes in really handy. And at the same time, if you get your character from the rooftop inside of the vehicle, it's going to replenish its HP. So this is a nice way to alternate the focus between your character and the car so that neither of them gets too damaged or killed. But yeah, this is pretty much it with the tips and tricks. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.